Around 2 years ago, I was obsessed with Subway Surfer lore. It was something that I hadn't seen anyone talk about, but there was clearly more to it than what the show was letting on. And yes, there was an animated series on it on YouTube. So I dug into the series, the behind the scenes of the series, the spin-off games, the actual game, and I made note of everything that caught my eye. Frankette was a character I was particularly interested in. They don't show up in the series, but they have a connection to it that I can't quite shake. Something that hints towards Frank's relationship with the secret society, Infinity. Something that is hinted towards in the series, but never fully confirmed. This is actually a remastered version of an old theory I did a few years ago, so if you want to see the original, that will be linked in the description. Although I must warn you that the quality in editing isn't that great. The editor clearly made some decisions, so instead of blaming him, let's focus on why I think that this character is so important to the series and what it could mean for the future episodes if the show comes back. But before we do that, please do subscribe, it's free and you can always unsubscribe later. Subscribing is the best way to support my channel as it allows me to make more videos and helps me reach more milestones. I really want to hit 400k soon and we get closer and closer to that milestone each day. So if you could just check to see that you are subscribed, that would be great. Thank you, and back to the video. Frankette was originally suggested in an April Fool's update video, although it was just their name at that point without any real indication of what their design was going to look like. When we finally saw them in Space Station, we found that they were a bunny robot with a Frank mask, clearly taken from the design of Robot who was introduced in the Easter update. But funnily enough, their mask design wasn't taken from the one in the game. It was taken from the design of the Frank mask in the series. In addition to that, she even shows up in the Subway City update, Subway City being where the animated series is set. Already we have two connections linking her to the animated series. Now, let's talk about their design. Yes, this is clearly based on Robot, but the colours and the technology used looks a lot like Infinity tech, especially with the blue glow. Not to mention their official board is named Secret Society, which maintains the Infinity logo. When previously talking about the series, I mentioned that Frank works for a company called Infinity, and I've also mentioned my suspicions on the idea that Frank is going against the company and starting a rebellion. We actually talked about this a lot in my last Subway Surfer theory, and in that we discussed how Frank was wiping his own data from Infinity records, but still using their technology, even showing that he still has access to their headquarters. If we look at Frankette, it seems that all the Frank imagery is last-minute additions. The bunny mask not being part of their design, but rather something secured around their head, as well as a sprayed-on tie, they're all last-minute things that he could have added. We've talked about how the bunny masks seem to be the least prioritised employees of Infinity. Frank not being able to catch his train was the final straw, so he decided to take matters into his own hands and create his own group within Infinity to overthrow them, the bunny masks. This includes removing all records of the bunny mask from Infinity's database, creating their own targets that actively go against Infinity's plans, and also confiscating Infinity technology. Frankette was one of Infinity's tools. My best guess was that they were used for finding and collecting information. It was built for speed as well as functional ears that suggest it can detect audio, as well as their hands clearly being designed to transport things instead of to help with balance or movement, suggesting it could take things and transport them. Well, if you're planning an uprising and you have the opportunity to steal a piece of technology that would allow for your group to have the upper hand, you would probably take it, which explains the new design. The mask and the sprayed-on tie is an act of rebellion, to show that this tool has been reclaimed and is going to be used against them. But I wouldn't feel too sorry for Infinity yet, considering that Frankette wasn't actually their design. In the Subway Surfers' rival short comic, we see Utani fighting Bruno with what looks like to be an early version of Robot. Now, one could argue that they just paired her up with any other robot from the game that doesn't particularly mean that she made it, But if you were going to do that, wouldn't you just use one of her own robots? Considering she's canonically an inventor, and we already know that Utani is responsible for building Tagbot and likely Boombot, as we see the designs in her room and even some scattered parts around in the series. But for this comic, the fact that they decided to use robots says that this is her own design, and it suggests something about Infinity that I've suspected for a while. Infinity steals their designs from other people. Think about it. They have eyes on this alien energy source that they've clearly been keeping an eye on for a while now, but instead of using it, they keep it buried until some kid finds it and decides to do something with it. That's because they don't know what to do with it. They know the tech exists, but they don't know how to utilize it. So they leave it but monitor where it is. That way, when someone does come along and figures out a way to use it, Infinity steals it, which is why Utani is of extreme interest and why they monitor her along with the other Subway Surfers. Once she perfects the hoverboard, they're going to take it and use it for their own designs. In fact, we can even take a step further if we incorporate the time travel theory, since in the series there's varying pieces of evidence that suggest that Infinity has access to time travel technology. If that's the case, then they could be targeting Utani specifically because they know she creates these things in the future. So their plan is to take her inventions and use them as tools to secure the society's power over others in the future. But they're not the only ones competing for that number one spot. Frank's rebellion is designed to give the Bunny Mask control over the future by stealing Infinity's technology. So now you have Infinity and the Bunny Masks working against each other and also the Subway Surfer crew, while they still have no idea they're being monitored. How long will it take for Infinity to step in and steal Utani's inventions? And can the Subway Surfer crew fight against both these forces? But before I finish this theory, I want to talk about something that was announced during writing it. Subway Surfers put out a message saying on July 14th we're going to be seeing a new location surrounding Frank or the Bunny Masks in the game. Look, I won't get my hopes up in the fact that they might bring back the series, but there's still clearly a storyline in the animated series that has been carried on throughout the game updates. Things like this give me hope that the ending of the series isn't completely lost, that the storyline still exists. We just need to look for it. So if this is something you're interested in, please let me know or join my Discord so we can talk about it. But what do you guys think? Are we onto something here? Thank you guys so much for watching. These videos are always fun for me to make, so it's great to know that you guys enjoy them as well. Thank you to my members. Once again, your support for this channel is why I can continue to make videos, and I appreciate it so much. But if you can't be a member, that's okay. I'm so thankful to everyone who's subscribed. Thank you, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!